for 5 minutes before each session,
Yeah, I'm gonna have it dedicated.
especially for the new people like me
hmm
who might not know something.
Yep, yep,
Might not know some Visual Studio stuff or might not know the GitHub stuff.
yep.
So we're all supposed to learn. We're all supposed to be looking.
Yeah, so I went ahead and just shared my screen right now, so feel free to hop into my screen. I'm gonna go ahead and just share something very quickly. Um, so we have currently we are on the, if I pull up my command line and I do git branch A, I'm on the volunteer search branch. This is the current feature that we're working on right now. I'm gonna be planning on, so we have 3 sessions going on today. The first session is going to be focused on styling. So we're all gonna take a couple minutes just to go and find a website that we like. Let me just find, let me just say nonprofit organization. It doesn't have to be nonprofit organization, but I'll go ahead and just do like UNICEF, won't stop. I want to find a website that has cards. This one doesn't have it on this page at least, but let's go ahead and see another one. Americans for Prosperity. Same thing. I guess this one sort of has cards. Let's see how the mobile version looks.
I have a website with cards that have a mobile version.
Yep. So everyone's gonna be looking for their own. So if you have that, just hold on to it. Yeah. So basically, like this is one option right here as well. It's not necessarily a card. It kind of reminds me of the Udemy, but just like a version of cards. So we're gonna be looking for one, images. So we're each gonna choose one of these objects the same way that we did last week. We're going to search for an image that we think is fitting for this, and we're going to add the URL to the image. And then we're also going to find styles that we like, and we're going to agree on the style that we want to move forward with. So if you look at,
When you use the URL to bring in the image, isn't one of the issues, one of the problems going to be they can change the image on their URL?
yeah, if they change
So
it, we'll just find another image. It's not that big a deal. It's highly unlikely, especially if it's an established website. Um, So yeah, right now we have this volunteer card right here. We're gonna put an image right here. I could find that one. When you click here, we want to have an image here. Right now we have a little border around the outside. We don't necessarily need to keep this. We could literally go ahead and take this one right here. Or if we look at another website, durable digital. I try to look at it in mobile view since the one that we're building right now is in mobile view. So this is like, these are also cards, I would say, but this is also a different style of card. So yeah, we're each going to go ahead and just find a card style that we like, and then we're going to share it with the rest of the group, and then we'll vote on which one we're going to want to do. And based on that, we'll go ahead and we'll start styling our cards. That's going to be the first session until about 7 o'clock. When 7 o'clock hits, then we're going to come back down to, let's see, we're going to, oh, we're going to start where we left off, basically, our render volunteer details. And we're going to begin injecting this HTML template with the correct information. So the vol dot, with basically all these properties that exist on each volunteer opportunity. And then on the last session, we're going to be moving into the advanced JavaScript today. So if you do stick around for the third session, we're going to begin extracting the JavaScript out of these files. I'm actually going to share a project with everybody, one that has a model view controller already in it. And I want everybody to kind of like look at that project and see how we could apply the architecture from that project into this project. So I want to get everyone starting to think about MVC and how we can begin integrating it into our project. So we will go ahead and we'll start with just finding a website with a card style that you like. Based on that card style that you like, we'll share it. So I personally, I like this one. I like these ones because the images look like standalone, and then they have some information, and then they have the button. I like that. It doesn't really look like a card. It just fits in really well. I think this one looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. Everybody else is going to just do a quick search, find a card that you like, no rush, and share it when you find it. And then I also need to find an image. So find a card style you like, find an image that matches the object that you created last week. I created the suicide hotline one, so I'm going to find an image that matches that. And then, yeah, and then we'll go from there. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, one more question.
Yes.
The latest version is just supposed to show the ID in the cards?
The latest version is supposed to show the ID in the card, yes.
Mine isn't. I downloaded the latest edition, but I'm not getting any IDs in the card.
Don't worry, we're going to be working on my code editor today so we can figure out yours later. I'm going to invite everybody into my code editor, and we're going to do all the changes right here in mine. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and create a, if I do git branch A, I'm on the volunteer search branch. During today's session, we're going to be finding cards of styles that we like. We're just gonna, maybe we'll mix and match styles, depending on if we find like two different card styles that we like and they both have maybe like characteristics that we like from each one. And then we're gonna add images. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this, I'm gonna say git branch, actually git checkout branch, and we'll call this branch card design. That's good. All right, so if I do git branch A, I'm now on the card design branch. I'm gonna go ahead and invite others into the code editor. So I'm going to post this in the chat right now. Feel free to hop into my code editor. And yeah, so everybody go ahead, take a couple minutes to go ahead and look for cards that you like. It doesn't have to be nonprofit organizations. It could be any company that you like, any organization that you like. Just go ahead and find styles of cards that you like. For me personally, I chose this one because I actually saw this style of card on a different website. It was a Udemy, and I like how they have the image. It looks like it's outside of the card, but it's not. Like, you have the card is wrapping. There's a div wrapping this whole thing because they're grouped together, obviously. But I like how the image just looks like it's separate, even though it's not. Then give it some nice rounded corners, a header, and then like a take action button. The thing that I want to do is when you hover over this, obviously I want there to be a pointer. Yeah, so you can see the pointer is there. I want there to be a pointer, but I also want the image to have like a gray overlay, like a little gray. So even if you hover over this section right here, like here, as long as it's within the card, that the image gets a little darker, just so you know you're actually hovering over this one right here. That's how the other one I saw was, and I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good, and it was clear where you could click and what you're clicking on when you do click. So yeah.
Jim, is it okay if we copy code from when we go into, when we join you, is it okay to copy the code?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, just, you can make a mistake when you copy and delete something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question for you, Jim.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much.
What is the schedule for this class? Because I tried to find it last week and I didn't see it.
So it is just up here. If you see at the top left of the
Is it on
serve.
the same day? Yeah.
Yeah, so if you click on the events, then you'll see it's Monday through Thursday every week.
Oh, so it's not just it's every week. Okay.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Huh. Oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, let me know when you find a card. Don't feel the need to wait for everybody else. James, you said that you have one, right? Do you want
Mm-hmm.
to go ahead and share that?
Yeah, I'll share. Let somebody else share first because I'm coming into the code now.
Okay.
And it's slow. I don't know why.
Yep. No sweat.
Let me go get mine.
What's up, C?
Hey Jam, how's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I mean, not so shabby. I just running around, but finally settled in for the night. I kind of was gonna ask you a question about what we're doing tonight. Are we looking more into the HTML, CSS side of things?
Just
Looks
for the
like.
first session. So we're doing HTML, CSS. We're giving some style to the cards until 7, and then at 7 we're gonna pick up where we left off on the JavaScript, basically rendering that page, the volunteer details page, and then in the third session we're gonna start breaking out this file. So if you look at our main JavaScript file, we have just a main.js. We're gonna start breaking it out into more than one file. So I'm going to give you all actually a project that you could look at that already has an MVC architecture built into it. And I'm going to just let you kind of like look over that project and begin to start brainstorming how we can take that architecture and implement it into this project. So we kind of have like three sessions tonight.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was looking into the card. I'm trying to see like the difference between the website and car. I've never done this before, so a good Google search would be how can I look through um how can I see a card on a web page?
Yeah, so you can literally go to any web page that you want. I just typed in nonprofit organizations, and this was one of the first ones that came up, and it actually has a card style that I saw earlier that I really liked. So this was just chance that I saw almost the same style that I saw on another card.
Yeah.
But you could just browse any
Whatever
website
website.
and just find a card that you like. Sort of how, remember that day that we were doing the Figma and we were kind of going through a bunch of different websites and like taking what we like from the different websites.
Yeah, I just don't know how to do card response. I guess we can do that on the control. How are you able to get a card? I know that's a website, America Prosperity.
Okay, I'm sharing here.
Say that one more time, T. Can you just mute for a minute, James? Because I hear her in the background of you, and it's like I'm getting distortion. Go ahead, T. Say that one more time.
Yeah, is there a way you can share your screen and let me know how to get a card going on your because I don't know how to do that. Like I know a website that I would like to turn into a card, but it's just I've never done this one before.
Yeah. So can you see my screen right now?
Let's see. Watch screen. No, I can't see your wait, actually. Okay. It took me out. Oh, now I'm um yeah, I can see. Actually, no. I can see your screen, sort of. I can see your full screen. So I can't. Yeah, there you go. I can see your screen now.
All right. So basically, what we're doing is I'm just finding like any website, like website. We could go to like NFL.com, just something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
NFL is good.
UFC.com or something.
How do you make the response?
So like this is a card right here. This is a card. This is a card. I guess like anything that's just in the card shape, kind of, you know. And so when I'm saying like look for, it doesn't have to necessarily be Like,
But like when I do I do control right, and then I click on it. I do inspect. It doesn't look like that on my
oh,
end.
right here. Toggle
Toggle
device
device.
toolbar, and then
Got it. Okay.
yeah, there you
Okay.
go. Then you
I
get the
see it.
mobile
Okay.
view.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, these are cool cards too. Yeah, and then you just look for a card with a style that you like, and we're all gonna go through and just share the cards that we like. And let me actually go ahead. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to get a little screenshot of this card, and I'm gonna post it in the chat so we always have access to it. Yeah, Ricky, I heard the same thing. The echoing. All right, cool. So yeah, feel free to find a card that you like, that you think looks good, and then everyone will go ahead and share. So we'll go ahead and take a look at James's right now. He said he had one. All right. Do your thing, James.
I'm sharing my screen.
Yep, I can see. I can see only Discord.
Oh, I gotta bring this down. So you see, yeah, you see that?
It says stream paused.
It
Oh,
paused.
because you minimize your application. You need to share your screen, not just the application. So when you share your screen, there's an application, there's screens, or you could literally just screenshot and post the card if you can't figure it out. No sweat.
Okay. Stream, stop streaming, stream, and then share the applications, right?
Not application, share screens, and then just choose
Share
screen one.
screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way, if you change between applications, we could see it all.
Okay, go live.
There you go.
And go here. Then I'm closing this. Let me drag this over here. Okay, you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my website, my cards. I'm developing this website for a gaming group. These are going to be my cards. And what I want to do is when you click on a card, I'm going to pull information like you do, but I'm going to use arrays.
So what is it about your cards that you think would make a good fit for the website we're building now?
For your website, no. You just said a website with cards that I like. You didn't say
Yeah, but we're only looking at cards for the primary reason of finding designs and styles that we like for the website we're building.
Oh, so sorry. Okay. Sorry.
All good.
My fault.
All good.
My error.
I actually like those cards. I thought you were gonna like just tell us a reason that you thought they would fit into our website. I like how the image is covering the whole card. And then the thing is with something like that where the image is covering the whole card, you would need to have some custom text, like something that really stands out and above the image so the image doesn't take away from the text. But I like them.
No, but when you click on it, the card will change. The information will be in the card. And the other part of it that's good, it's a, what do you call it? I'm using media queries, so it works on a mobile, a tablet. That functionality is already in it. And it comes from a website. And so you can actually load it into a website. It's going to work on the website.
Yep.
But it's not what you want for your project.
It's not what I want or what I don't want. We're just collecting ideas right now, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're taking feedback from everybody just based on what they think what kind of styles they like, basically. Has anyone else found one that they like so far?
It's gonna take me a little minute. Sorry,
No worries.
trying to figure out, but
Looks like
yeah, this is very I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
No, you're good. Looks like Ricky is typing something right now, so we'll see.
I found one that's interesting. It's kind of like it has cards stacked on top of cards.
Okay, cool. Let's see it. You could go ahead and post it in the chat or share your screen. Okay, Ricky, nice. Nice,
So
nice.
these are kind of sweet. They seem to be animated to like they're physically moving.
Mm-hmm. Ricky, you want to talk about Ricky, you want to talk just a little bit about the one you posted really quickly?
Yeah, the reason why I thought this could be a good fit is because there's already a couple of paragraphs we could use to stick in, the title of the name of the organization, maybe the objective, the target, whatever. And then you see how there are 4 round pills where it contains the timing, the
Mm.
tonight's availability. What if we use those pills to list up the requirements to join an organizations or whatever bullet points the organization has? So it has a bit of this card has a bit of a variety of things that we might employ.
Yeah, yeah. There's a well, one, it's simple. You could tell that it's one card. Everything is grouped together. It does have a nice description, and then you're right as far as where it says tonight's availability and everything beneath. We kind of have some options as far as what we would put there. So yeah, I like it. I like it. I like how it provides a decent amount of information. So based on the one that we have right now, if you look at just, we really have an ID number, which we're going to remove, a title. We're going to have, I forgot, we could really put anything right here, and then description. So we're very limited, but we could definitely add more stuff. So if we go with, I like it. Cool, cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And then Roland, you were going to share yours? Looks like it's loading. Just give it a minute. What's up, Aditya?
Hey, hi.
Hey, hey. So basically what we're doing right now is for the first session, we have 3 sessions today, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. The first session, we're going to actually start styling these cards. Just start giving this particular feature a nice little design. The second session, we're going to start off where we left off, where we were building the volunteer details page. So injecting all of that JavaScript from the volunteer object into our actual template, the HTML. And then the third session, we're going to start implementing the MVC, so the model view controller architecture. I'm going to show everyone a website, and I'm going to let everyone kind of like look through that a little bit and start thinking about how we can start implementing that architecture into this website to make it easier, to make the code more manageable, basically.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, so you gave us the link to get in. You have to let each person in individually. How does it work? Because I'm just sitting here.
Not
Did you just
normally.
let me in?
Yeah, I just clicked accept. But
Okay.
Normally I don't have to. Only for some people. I don't know why, but we could figure it out. All right. T posted Spotify.
Yeah, so sorry, I can't seem to share my live stream, but I sent you the link. It's to Spotify.
Yep, I see. Which ones are you talking about?
So the main, it looks like, I think it's the main, spotify.com /us/free/.
This one here? Are you, let me share my screen. Cool. This one?
Yes. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
these here?
So I really like the cards. If you go down a little, notice how like it's seamless. Like that's one card, and then you go down again, like another section. Like that's another card. Would you consider those cards or no?
I would consider those sections.
Okay, sections. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you go all the way up, like from the beginning, I think that's a whole section, right? It says play millions of songs and podcasts for free. I really like that layout where it's like it's not necessarily a card, you know? Like there's a interactive button there, an element, an event, right there, get Spotify free. Just click there. I really like that there's like a way for me to interact in that kind of way, you know?
Yeah,
So I
an
guess I
immediate
consider
call to
that.
action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool. And it's super simple too.
Yeah, and then I just don't really, I'm not like really a big fan of like all this white space, you know, like that one does, but it's covered up with a lot of color, so it's like a balance. Because when you first see it, it's like colorful, right? And then when you go down, it's not like as colorful, so it balances it out. And then it's just kind of it's like a sandwich where it's like color, non-color, color, non-color, like it all seamlessly flows.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You could tell the difference between the sections, yeah.
Yeah, the sections.
That makes sense. I would consider these cards, even though you can't see like a border or any. I would definitely consider these cards right here.
Yeah, and you know, like stupid icons, like they have little icons in them, like
Yeah.
that's what that means. Make it yours. That's like the love button or whatever. And then like save mobile data. That's like what you click on to save. And it kind of like gives you a hint of like what these buttons are and like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool for the nonprofit navigator if we did do something like that. I think it'd be cool if we had like on the left side how this has a play button, this has books, this has a heart. If we chose icons for different types of nonprofits, like for mental health, it was like a brain. For like food related stuff, it was like a chef or I don't know. And then that way you could quickly see which ones are like what type of nonprofit just based on the icon. Just giving each card symbolism. Like so you could quickly just know which is which. But then again, people who are
Yeah.
looking for specific things will be sorting based on that eventually anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
like both of
totally.
them.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of like not the card like route, I suppose. Like it's not the typical card situation. Um, but you know me, I like to like blur the lines and I'm not like when it comes to design, like I just like to fool around and make things sort of like so sorry. Yeah. But yeah, like it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. All right. Anyone else want to share before we go ahead? I do like Ricky's a lot because it provides a good amount of information. And yeah, with these cards that we're building here, I feel like with a nonprofit, like sure, when we click, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get even more information just based on the objects here. But I think the more information that you could get before clicking, at least like vital information, like the name, obviously, image is going to be good. I don't think we need the location necessarily. Maybe like the state, if it's in the same state. And then definitely like main, like the topics that are involved, potentially the mission, description. Yeah, so I guess it's debatable. I guess it's like, what are we trying to communicate through the cards? Just like the main point without any real details? Or do we want to give them some details as well? So we'll chat about that a little bit more, but I do like Ricky's so far. And then, cool. All right, did anyone else have one that they wanted to share? Nothing right now. That's totally fine. All right, cool. So everyone was here last week. Everybody has an object, right? So like I created the suicide hotline. Everybody else created a different one, right? Is there anyone here that didn't create their own object last week?
Yeah, I didn't because I missed it last week.
Okay, cool. No worries at all. So I know T was here. I know Ricky was here. I know Javier was here. So feel free to just highlight the one that's yours, just so everyone knows that one's taken. If you're in here, who else is in here? All right, so basically everyone. If you're looking at my screen right now, go ahead and just highlight your object so I know which one is which. Ricky, which one was yours? Javier,
Oh, it was gift of bread.
Gift of bread. All right, cool. Everyone see how Ricky is highlighting this one right here? How I highlighted my object? Go ahead and just highlight the one that you did.
You access the editor on here.
I posted it right in the chat. So if you scroll up just a little bit, the live share link is just above the images.
Hey Jim, I downloaded something on my computer this morning and I guess I forgot to restart. So I did the second one, the pet one, own your puppy or own my puppy. I'm gonna have to restart my computer real quick, but I should be right back.
All right, cool. All right, so then it looks like the other ones are free. I would say since we have Javier is in here, you did that one. Ricky, and then we have two guests, so I think it's James and Roland. So, all right, so James, you take American Red Cross, and Roland take Canine Sanctuary. So go ahead and just find an image. Go ahead and just find an image that matches your object. And
I'm still having problems trying to get into the editor.
Okay. No worries. So you can still go ahead and just find an image if you want. So basically the one you'll do is Canine Sanctuary. So feel free to just browse the internet and find an image that you think would be fitting. Oh, so someone already posted one. But I think that was just like a dummy photo. It wasn't really matching. Right? Is this one fitting? I don't think it was. I think these were just like random filler stuff. So, yeah. So the way I'm going to do it is if you click on... I believe for most images, you can just do like depending on the website. Should be able to open image in another browser, that sort of thing. If you're able to click the image on this site, you're not able to, so I'm going to go to a different site. So open image in new tab. Yeah, that's the button. Let me just find a good one. Wow, this one's really playing. Wow. They really don't have any images here. That's interesting. I wonder why. I'm gonna go to just suicide hotline search and then do images. Open image in new tab. All right. All right. So this is this image. So I'm going to go to image and I'm going to post the URL right there. And I should.
It's not is 988. I don't know, hotline number or something.
Yeah, I think so. That's the one they're using now. So do that. And then, you know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to go ahead and turn the image into an object of its own. And we're going to do URL and description. So we'll all change that. Just so we have something to add to the alt. Description. 988 hotline. Okay. All right. How's everyone doing? Ricky, nice.
I wonder why there's an echo. Do you hear that echo?
Yeah, well, not anymore. I don't hear it. I thought it was James's computer because I was hearing it.
Whoever isn't talking should mute themselves. I'm just saying.
Do you still hear it?
No, I don't hear it. No.
Okay, cool. Cool. So we have Ricky's got it done here. If everyone wants to look at line 92 to 95, Ricky went ahead and found the image and just a description so that we have something to put into the alt. Cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and find another image. I don't really see anyone else adding any images here, so I'm going to go ahead and just find more. Hopefully everybody else goes ahead and chips in and adds some images so we can speed up this process a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find a image. I'm going to copy and paste yours and then just find my own image.
Cool.
For number 2 or ID 2, I'm not sure what I would be looking for because I don't know what that acronym's for, or stands for, I should say.
You could literally just do any nonprofit. Doesn't really matter. We just need like filler stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
This one looks good. Like if you're looking at my screen, you see this one, how it's just like super generic.
Wouldn't it be so great if we can all just like share that, just vibe off of your screen and then be like, hey, which one do you guys like, kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just fill it in anyway. So we got description, generic nonprofit image. That's pretty clear. All right. Okay, cool. So we got ID 3 needs one. Looks like someone's doing American Red Cross. Nice. And then 6 needs one, so we need 2 more. I'll go ahead and grab 1. This one. Cool. Thank you, Ricky. All right, I'll do this one. Cool. All right, so basically this is gonna help us when we actually go to inject the JavaScript that we wrote into our template. So let's see. Description. All right. Who did this one here?
Yeah, I just changed the picture of puppies. Gonna add a new URL. I'm looking for a picture right now.
All right.
Are you
Cool.
talking about the Own My Puppy?
Yeah. Take a look just above yours at the one that I did from line 5 to 8. So you'll see that we have our image property, and our image property is set to an object with two properties, a URL and a description property. So you're actually writing the URL and the description property after the image. But these two properties are actually going to be the image property. So they're just an
I see.
yeah, they're just they're properties of a new object basically. Yeah. And then all right, so T's working on that one. We got this one, looks good and done. 3 looks good and done. 4
Is 5 on?
Nice. 5 looks
American Red Cross. I just copied the URL.
yeah. So the
From
only thing you need to do is it looks like URL is misspelled, and then you just need to wrap the URL in a string.
Okay.
And then
American Red Cross is me. I just joined in.
hey, what's going on?
Good. It's the first day in the job, so that's why I came late.
Oh, nice. How was it?
Really good. A lot of onboarding, a lot of meetings, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, that's always how it is in the beginning. Remember when we do like corporate jobs back in the day, like your first job, and they'd have you watch videos for like 40 hours? Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm doing now, and they're not updated. So they're all very old, and just you have to do them.
Oh my god. And the actors are so bad.
It's not even relevant to my job at all.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you. And a lot of it is common sense too. All right, so we'll just add this inside of a string, HTTPS, and then I think, all right, so 5 is good. Basically what we're doing is we're just adding some image URLs and descriptions, Parker, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna style our cards. So we'll take a look back at our cards and just decide how we want to proceed with that.
Okay, I'll hop in 5 minutes and do it.
Cool. So we are good with the URLs. The only thing is, T, I'm going to go ahead and wrap your URL in a string. So, boom.
Thank you. For some reason, I have to figure out a way to not follow your cursor, because every time I do, it's giving me like no room to start doing my own thing. So it's like finicky, I guess.
I think that's a setting.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like clicking the initials of the person you're following in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah, and then every time I move it, it like jumps you down to where I am, right?
Yeah, so it's like I barely even write anything right now or do anything. But I'll go ahead and fix that setting.
Yeah, that's a setting. Yeah. It's annoying. I used to have it set like that too. All right, cool. So we are good to go. And then as far as the cards go, we had a little time to just think about which one we want to move forward with, which one we like the most. Does anyone have any thoughts? Oh, Ricky went ahead and posted another one too. So yeah, these are skill. Ooh, I like this one. Okay. So intermediate, guided project, less than 2 hours. So we have a couple just like important points down here. Skills your gain, maybe we could put like requirements there, and then we have like a name with an image, more like a brand image, which is totally fine too, and then the actual name of the nonprofit. That'd be cool. So what do you all think? What do you want to do as far as cards go? Which one did you like the most? Does anyone have any want to chip in?
I like the one that you shared the most.
Okay. So this one here, just with the no background separated from the rest of the page, basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who else? That one rolling, just one word in the center of the card. Just fine.
It must not be shown all the way. No, because when you go to it, it's a whole bunch of different cards.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
your background, the one that you shared, Jim, the background blends in with the card.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like the reason why. So it's not like super white space like Ricky's. I don't like that one. It's just way too like, black and white. I really I like mixing and blending kind of situation, like flowing. Like that's the kind of it's not bad. Like I'm not gonna say I hate Ricky's, but I really like the blending, because it's just visually more, for me, I think for me, visually more appealing.
Yeah, same. All right, so let's do a combination of both. Let's do this style right here with a little bit more information. So we'll have an image that's just separate, and then we'll have the information just below it. We will, since there is no background though, like the background you could see clearly plays a role where it separates, like you could see this is a card. And anything grouped within this card and this white background has to do with this card. So with this, it's a little less obvious. Let me go ahead and just open up Figma so we can just draw something out really quickly. Figma. So we don't have to go ahead and make it too fancy, but just so we have something to go off of. So let me go ahead and copy all these. We'll just say mobile hi-fi. And all right, so if we zoom in on the card, we will go ahead and let me delete these lines. So we're actually gonna have an image, right? Instead of a color, let's fill this with an image. And I believe I could actually place an image in there. Oops. So let me go ahead and do place image video. Okay. Let me we'll just do this one for now. There we go. So we'll have our image. If we look at, we're also going to have our name, which I think our name should be a little bit bigger, but go ahead and just let me know if you disagree. That's totally fine. I'll go ahead and just go off of the suicide hotline. So we'll just say suicide hotline. And I'm just going to add this, and if anyone, like, we'll change it too. Besides the name, what else do people think that we should add? So if you go ahead and look at each one of our objects, we have a ton of properties. Which of these properties do you think is the most important to include in the card? Obviously, if you click the card, you're going to navigate to the page that has all the details. But what do you think is the most important things that we should add to the card? I think location is important, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. What about y'all?
It's like crickets, you know. I wouldn't mind adding like description. I usually just like go straight to the point.
Description or
when I
mission?
look at stuff. Mission should sort of already, like, that was kind of like, well, mission, I guess, yeah, mission, but more like description. Like, I want to know what this is about. Like, I don't want to waste my time if this isn't what I'm looking for, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a mission, yeah, but I mean, I this is volunteer, right? So
Yep.
my mission is to help. So, it's neither here or there. But I feel like the description is important.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just.
I think a phone number.
Okay.
A phone number. The mission itself, I would put in the details.
Okay.
If you don't have some idea by the picture of what the thing is, you wouldn't want to take a look in there. You're not going to want to read every mission statement.
No, I agree. So you just want like a direct means to contact them.
And then if you're really interested in it, you would click on the card to look at the description and the mission and the rest of the details. You want to keep it clean, especially like you said, you might have 1,000 cards.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask everybody this quickly, because I'm just kind of like moving ahead and adding stuff. I want to hear one thing from everybody. So we'll go from the top to the bottom, and just what is the most important thing that we can add. So you can see I'm basically creating this. I think that we should add a border radius to the image.
Yeah, and also like make it a little bit more curvy on the corners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe gray it out a little bit, almost like
Oops. Let me just.
almost like it's hovering over the white, kinda.
I wonder if we can add a little more white space so it's not as dense.
Like in between this stuff here.
Yeah, like a little more margin and padding, just a little more white space.
Okay. Where do you want the white space? Are you saying like line height, padding to maybe
Yeah,
like
'cause,
these, or what are you thinking?
Well, everything looks pretty tight, so I'm looking from like top to bottom. Like it's kind of like line to line. So I see, volunteer keyword location search, and so there's a lot of white space to the left of the search, and then, well, it looks pretty good. I'm just wondering if it needs a little more white space. Like what are your thoughts?
I could see that. Like this might be a little tight. Like these things might be a little tight. I could see that, for sure.
I would want a border around the image, because when I hover over the image, I want the border to change color.
Actually, I was thinking that the whole image is going to change color, not just the border. So like if you hover over the card at all, the image will get darker. So even if you hover down here, the image will get darker. Because that's going to be the easiest way to communicate to the user, like this is the one you're clicking. Even if you click down here, the image still doesn't get dark, but it's just like a little shade, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
When it comes to picking like fonts and colors and whatnot, is that going to be later down the line, or is this part of the process?
So I guess this is the beginning of our hi-fi wireframe. So as far as adding any complex designs, I think we're just basing everything off of these cards that we've selected so far. So we're sort of taking a little bit from Ricky's and a little bit from mine. Mine where the image is separate, like you can't really tell where the card is. There's no card border. There's no card background. It's just like they're separate, but then also a little bit more information than this one, because this just isn't enough information. How do I know if I even want to click on this? You know what I'm saying? So these are the ones we're taking from. We're kind of just taking ideas from anywhere right now, but yeah, it's an open mic. Okay. So whoever wants to comment and give suggestions, that's totally fine too.
So it's like too early to choose like a primary color. Like for example, Facebook blue, you know, even though they have a lot of shades of different blue and grays, but like you know that's like their primary color.
Yeah, I think we're gonna dedicate a whole night to just choosing a color scheme. Probably we'll choose one specific night where we could just actually spend the whole session like looking at different color schemes, why one color scheme would be better than another, trying out a couple different ones, even letting everybody just build their own color scheme and then voting on the color scheme that everybody likes the most, that sort of thing. So right now, not too much color scheme, just like a really basic hi-fi wireframe. So just building on the lo-fi that we have. It's literally no design, no color. It's just layout. That's the only thing we're focused on was layout. With this one, we're starting to focus on a little bit more style, you know?
Could you darken?
Yeah, gotcha. Definitely. User interface and user experience is definitely another topic.
Could you darken the container instead of the image? I hate making anything darker that I have to read.
You hate making anything darker that you have to read?
Yeah, when I'm looking at something, especially older people, you know, their eyesight not be quite as good. I don't want to distract from anything I'm reading, but I understand why you would want to highlight, make a distinction on the card that you're actually.
I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go to like, if we go to these cards here.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you're not actually making the text or anything you're reading darker. You're making the image darker. So even if I'm down here, see how the image gets darker? I know this is the one I'm clicking. It communicates this is the one you're clicking, 100% guaranteed. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the text stays the same.
I guess my question is...
This is the one I was actually looking at earlier. Huh?
Oh, yeah. So my question was like, so how do you make something really dark?
So this one right here, that's a good question.
Yeah, what does he mean by that? I don't know.
I'll go ahead and just answer it because, yeah, so you just add a hover pseudo element on the card. So when you hover over the card, you want to change the
transparency.
You want to change the transparency of the image, basically. Yeah, like add like a little layer with opacity over the image, basically. Yeah. All right, so I agree with Parker, though. I think on these, we could definitely add some padding, too. So let me just zoom in here and make these a little bit bigger.
The reason why that popped out at me, because I'm reading a book called Refactoring UI. It's all about design. And it has so many good tips in that book. So it really makes me think, just, you know, from the user perspective.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, and the book is made by the people who made the Tailwind CSS.
Okay, nice.
Stuff.
I like Tailwind. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's a good book.
I'll go ahead and give this just a little bit of rounded corners. We could even, like, we could start adding color. It's not that we're not adding color. It's that just no one's like, hey, you should. So, like, with this background here, we could go ahead and we could just say, like, hey, let's start adding just a little bit of color. This is totally fine. Like, I'm not saying let's not add color. I'm just saying, like, nobody's saying, hey, add some color. We could do that.
Yeah, that's good. Light blue. Done.
You know, we could even do like just to match this image. You know, so up to y'all. Just to give it a little life, you know. And then someone was saying no mission, but description is much better. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take this description, add this here. Oops. I'm going to push this left. Okay. Yeah. So then, let's see, who hasn't said anything yet? Javier, what do you think? As far as the object that we have here goes, what is the most important information we could be communicating? Do you think?
Let's see. We have to name the location. Maybe skills was something I was thinking about.
Skills. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one here. Maybe like this, where it's tonight's availability, have like skills here. Actually, there was another one you posted too, though. That was, or like this, instead of having a horizontal break, just having the skills listed down here. Or skills you'll gain. What is our skills? The skills required, basically. Yeah, so we could do something like this. Skills you gain. Where would you put it?
That I'm not sure of. Yeah, no.
What do you guys?
I feel like it would
Go ahead.
be underneath description.
All right, let me ask you this before. Do you guys like this blue background on the text, or do you like
No.
just the text?
Without the blue.
Without the blue?
Without the blue, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe like left looks a little bit better. Our descriptions will get bigger too.
So I have just really quick question. Are you going to have like a really light background
On the card?
on the whole?
Like on the body, That's a good question.
Yes.
I mean, we could do that.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, just so it stands out a little bit. Because on the example I gave, there was definitely a background here.
Yeah, that's where my mind is heading
Yeah.
to next. About the background and how it like blends into the card, you know.
Yeah, so that works. We could definitely add a background to the body or something of that nature. All right, cool. And then we'll just, you guys were saying skills underneath. And same thing, just like this, or style? What are you thinking?
I think there should be like a sandwich thing. So a fill-in, like a container card, like what you were gonna put for the description, except for the skill set. Yeah.
Like this?
Yep. A little bit more centered. Like the crisis hotline can be moved. Like the mental health and crisis hotline tab should be centered. Yeah.
that. And then skills should go in here.
Yep. If you just move it a little bit left, just a tad bit.
Yeah. All right. What are the skills for this one? Communication, people skills. Social work. And again, this is going to be different for everyone. We're just trying to get an idea of what we want it to look like. All right. I don't like it.
Seems like it's like a lot. So like, a lot of words written down. If that makes sense.
Yeah. How do the cards look here? Let's go ahead and just skills you'll gain. So maybe like a bold skills you'll gain, and we can make the words even smaller too. Let's try this out. See how it looks. We will medium, regular. Push it to the left. That looks better. I kind of don't like the background blue though. What do you think?
You're saying for the mental health and crisis hotline?
Yeah.
The top two?
No, I was talking about for down here.
Or suicide hotline.
It's clear without the blue background. Yeah, I like that a lot better.
Better. And then if you hover over it. All right.
Sure, that looks fine.
Yeah, I mean, this looks good. So. Cool. Something like that. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a solid card right there. That's good. Unless, let's just see. Has anyone else? J-code, what's going on? I don't know if he's unmuted. I think J-code 99 is new, so maybe he's just not signed up for the premium membership. Totally fine. And then we got someone L. That's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing L ... just above Parker. Feel free to unmute and say hey. Okay. And cool. All right, cool.
That's so bizarre because I don't see LLL.
You might be seeing a different name. You might be seeing it because streamer mode is enabled on my screen, so I get like
I see
truncated.
Vicky, Parker, Larry.dev, J-code, Javier, CC, Chun, Aditya.
You see Larry? All right, so that's the one I can't see. That's what you see, Larry?
It says Larry.dev. I think that's him, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and just do that then. Cool. Larry, feel free to unmute and say hey if you would like. All right, cool. Yeah, that looks decent, I think. That looks good. So, what's up?
When we do the cards itself, right, a feature that they have in Discord, a feature that I see a lot, when you're on a card, when we hover, if we could put a hover over each section as the person moves their mouse. Like when you have a bunch of cards and you select a card, you're going to gray it out. But when you have a card and you're in the card, when the person is hovering over different sections of the card, like the skills, the telephone and whatever, if that also would have a hover, I think it helps focus the eye on what you're reading. You do it when you're in Discord. When you're doing in Discord and you're going down the side of it, you're going down people's names, you notice there's a hover over each section.
Yes.
It helps you read what you're doing. It helps you know where your mouse is. It helps you focus.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
True. Yeah, so we'll have some type of hover effect. Let's get the basic styles done, and then we'll go ahead and do the hover. So let's see. So the class that we're styling is this one here. So we have our volunteer search details page, and then we have actually, we are doing our volunteer card. Here we go. So render card. So we have our volunteer card, which is the whole thing. We have our volunteer image, which is still at the top. So perfect, perfect. We are going to have to, actually, we're going to change this. So let me go ahead and start adding some comments here. Actually, I'll do it outside the template so it looks like actual JavaScript. So to do, change image div to image with volunteer image dot image dot URL and volunteer dot image dot description. The URL is going to be the actual location. So we're looking for the image. We're going to be looking for the URL is going to be the source of the image, and the description is going to be the alt. So as far as this line of code goes right here, we're going to be replacing this div. Make sure everyone's looking at my screen so you can see the stuff I'm highlighting. We're going to be replacing this div with an image element, and we're going to keep the class. So we want to keep the class because we need to be able to style it, but we're going to be adding a source, and we're going to be adding alt text. So then we have our content, which comes underneath the image, and right now I'm posting the volunteer ID. We don't want this. That was just for our other thing. So we have our name, which we have here. So perfect. We have our location. So here we have the entire location. So if you look at, that's why we're getting an object. So if you look at our location is actually an object. So if I change this and I say, instead of location, like location dot city or something like that, then you can see I get Rocky Hill. But we actually want to have, I think, the city and the state. That would be best. So we will to do change H5 for location to, honestly, I wouldn't even give that an H5, but it's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't say it's semantically incorrect. Whether you put a P or a H5, it's still like, if it's a card, you could still consider it a header depending on who you ask. But we're going to have to change it to, change H5 for location to include city and state instead of the entire location object. And then we have our description. So underneath that we have, let's look at this. So instead of our description, we actually want to, here, to do number 3, we want to add our, what are we calling them? We're calling them main. So basically, like, I don't like main. I think focus is better. We'll keep it main for now, but focus or specialization, something of that nature, We'll keep it main for now, but basically we're going to iterate over our main array and inject our main strings into our template. So let's go ahead and say add our main focuses to card by iterating over main array. This is going to be a fun one. We did this with a couple other things. We actually did this with the cards. So if you look back up here, we basically iterating over the cards and returning an array of cards for each one. So we're going to be doing the same thing with this here. And then we have, our description, which is currently a div. We could change that to a paragraph, I think. So that's a super easy one. That's going to take like 1 second for whoever takes that. But change description div to a paragraph. And then skills you'll gain. This one will be a nice little challenge too. So add skills you'll gain. So skills, we have a skills array, same thing. You're gonna have to iterate over the skills array. This one's gonna be a little more challenging than this one right here, because this one's just gonna be returning HTML elements, but this one you're gonna be concatenating these strings. You're basically gonna be joining them with a comma and a space. So you want to basically take this array and join each one of these strings by a comma and a space and then include it. So that's going to be interesting. So add skills you'll gain by joining skills array. Skills array with comma space. And then, yeah, so that should generate each card. And then once we have the cards generated, we'll go ahead and we'll style them up. So let me see who's in here. We have a few people in here. So feel free to, who wants something simpler and who wants something more challenging? I have a feeling Ricky's going to take either the add skills you'll gain by joining array, or I feel like you're going to do the main focuses, add the main focuses to card by iterating over main array. And then, yeah, feel free to grab whatever to do you want to do. Just go ahead and...
I'll do the skills one. It's Angel.
Okay, what's up, Angel?
Hello.
So before you start working on it, you're going to do the skills one. Go ahead and just add your name so I know who's working on what. So everybody choose one. So Angel's taking this to do right here. Ricky's taking that one. Everybody else go ahead and choose one. Cool. So Parker, Ricky, Angel, we still have, and for those who are in here who are not in the code editor yet, feel free to, if you look in the chat, you'll see just above at the top today, the first thing I shared was a link to join the code editor. So you're able to hop into the code editor and actually type some code with everybody else. So that's just right in the chat. If you don't know where the chat is, we're all sitting in the Introduction to JavaScript channel right now. And if you hover over it, you'll see an open chat. You'll see a create invite. You'll see an edit channel. And if you click on open chat, it'll open up. Just scroll up until you see my post today at 6:21 p.m. Click that link and you'll pop into the code editor. I might have to approve you, but you should pop right in. Yeah. And let me see if there's any unanswered questions.
Jim,
Yes.
any chance you can put in the chat a little screenshot of the Figma design?
Yes. I could actually share the link with you too if you want to hop into the Figma.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Just let me know when you try to connect, because I believe I have to approve it. And then I'll go ahead and take a little. You're talking about just of this card that we're doing today?
Yeah, just the card. Just the card. Yeah, just that one.
Cool. All right. Cool.
Yeah, but I'm not going to jump into Figma then. Thank you anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like we had a couple people asking questions here, so. Let me, this is the easy way now. I just send the link of how to get set up Discord. So much easier. Here we go. I think Larry's already in there, so no sweat, and then oh, yeah, I see your message, Larry. Cool. Welcome, Larry. My level of coding is 25 years. Holy moly. Awesome. Welcome, J Code. Welcome. Yeah, I don't know if George, J Code, and Larry have access yet. Basically, everybody has access to the events for free. You could hang out, just watch. I'm going to be sharing my screen. You see everybody's just kind of like typing some code right now, and took over a couple of tasks. Actually, we're running a little bit late right now. We'll be we should be transitioning into the intermediate level right now, though I wouldn't consider this introductory, so I'll definitely consider what we're doing here borderline intermediate for sure. So we're definitely in the intermediate phase right now. For those who want to join and type code in chat, type messages, all that stuff, feel free to just do the 7-day free trial, so you'll be able to try it all out for free. You know, you either like it or you don't. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me directly too. I'm pretty responsive. Cool. How to get the code. Yes, so if you go up to the server shop, there's just the newbie developer membership right there. So everybody gets a 1-week free trial. You could pop in and just code along with everybody. And then we're going to be adding a backend soon. So there'll be a junior developer tier as well. But just getting this newbie developer tier set up right now. How's everybody doing? So it looks like we still have 2 tasks that nobody's working on right now. We have change image div to image.url and image.description. And then we have change description div to a paragraph. So who else is in here right now? T. Which one are you doing?
I'll just change the I'll do line 225.
225. Change image div. So this one right here. All right, cool. And then change description div to a paragraph. I'll do that one. Just get that out of the way. It's literally a 1-second change. I see why nobody wanted to do it. Descriptions. I'm going to change this into a paragraph. Cool. Cool, cool. Oh, that was so hard.
Jim, can you check mine to make sure it's right? It's the change the H5 for location for city and state.
Change H5 for location to include city and state. Okay, so we have location. Yes. So location city, location state, comma space. Yeah, that looks good. Volunteer. Yep. That looks good.
All right, cool.
We'll see. We'll make sure everything looks good when we actually, when everyone's done making their changes, then we'll go ahead and pull it up and see how it looks. And then we'll go ahead and, since it's already 7:40, we'll go ahead and we'll actually start styling it tomorrow. Tonight we'll go ahead and I guess we'll finish up the rest of this template, and then we can start talking about model view controller. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions while people are working on their code? Feel free.
Can you check if I did it right?
Yes. Give me just 1 second. And for the people who don't have access to the chat, you can feel free to either send me a message directly or ask in the ask for help. I try to check in there periodically. Yeah, so Larry, the link is you just go all the way to the top of the server. You'll see server shop, and it's right there. And all right, cool. So, Angel, add skills you'll gain by joining skills array with. Okay, cool. So that's this one here, right?
Yep.
So we have for let skill of volunteer skills HTML plus equals. Okay, so you're actually creating a div for each one of the skills, right? Let me ask you. Let me try to ask you in just a simple way. So if we take this, let's go to line 22, right? Is there a way, you see line 22?
Yeah.
How can we take the strings in here with a built-in method, a built-in array method, and just connect the strings that are in there or join the strings that are in there with a string? What built-in method allows you to join the strings of an array?
I'm not sure. Do you mean like so that you pull them all out at once?
Not even. Do a quick search really quickly. Go to like ChatGPT or Google and type in how do I join the elements of an array? Or how do I join the string elements of an array? I'm pretty sure something like that would work. But let's see. So this is actually creating a div. You're adding your closing div. And then each one you're creating another div. So the reason why this one is not the best way to do it is just because it will work, but it's going to make each one of the skills a block level element. So it's going to separate them almost like a list. But if you look at our Figma, you actually want skills you'll gain. So let me zoom in.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
So you just want them to, you don't want them to be separate divs. You want them to just be a string, basically.
Okay. All right. I can fix that.
Yep. Did you find the answer?
The join
Yes.
section for the arrays.
Exactly. Cool, cool. Let me know when you guys are ready too. J code. If you go to open chat, just scroll up and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just post the link again. So here we go. So in the chat, there you go. Larry, what's up? You could talk. J code is typing, cool. So you know where the chat is. Good, good. Awesome. Cool, cool. All right, so skills equals div skill list. Yeah, we do technically need a new class for that, so good job on creating that class. And then return skill div. Cool. And that's going to go underneath the description. Then we have our main focus div. So volume, main, map. For each item, return a list. Volunteer card, main focus, item. Pass the item into it. Close the list. So you're going to end up with an array containing list elements and their items, which the item's going to be converted into a string since you're concatenating onto the string. And then you're going to join. And then you're going to join that together. All right, looks good. I'm sure there may be some mistakes in here somewhere, and that's okay. When we encounter the error, we'll go ahead and we'll debug it together. All right, so volume.
Can I see the Figma so I can see the title that you used for the skills you'll gain? Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yes. Cool, cool. So it looks like T did change div to, all right. T, you still working on this one?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to even think about it. So it's probably a good time to stop thinking and start asking questions.
Let me just tell you, we don't want a div. We only put the div as like a placeholder before putting an image. We're like, all right, let's just put a container here. So like this div and this div needs to go. And if we want to represent an image in HTML, what element or what HTML element are we going to use? We're not going to use a div. We're not going to use a paragraph.
We're going to use SRC, I think.
We're going to use SRC as an attribute that we place, like how the class is inside of here. It's an attribute with a value. So source is going to be an attribute with the location, but the actual element is going to be, you could go ahead and do a Google search if you'd like to. Just say like create image with HTML or something of that nature.
Wouldn't it be like a image ID equals?
Yes, it would be an image element.
IMG.
IMG,
yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So just replace the div with IMG. Cool, cool.
Yeah, I'm still like, okay. Because I know I think I can see why it would be a class, but I know you mentioned about how you'd want to have an ID and a class sort of together. Or on the same line, if that makes sense. sense.
Yeah, so if we're going to be using JavaScript with this image, then we would create an ID. I don't think we're going to be using any as far as I know right now, we're not going to be using any JavaScript with it, but every image element does require 2 attributes. So do a quick search on that. Say like what attributes are required for an image element. One of them is the location of the image, and the other one is the description of the image, but they're not called location and description. Nice, you caught that, Angel. Skills, cool. And then, why are you putting this?
I don't know what the other way would doing it would be.
So, all right. So this is only used if we're trying to reference an object. So if we're inside an object and we're trying to reference a method that's on the object, then we would do like this dot get skills. But since this get skills is just a standalone function, you don't have to add this.
Okay, I see.
Yep. And then, yeah, so that looks good. And then you're taking the volume, you're passing it into your method. Skills your gain, so you use the span. Cool, cool. We're probably going to make that bold, right? And then volunteer skills join with a comma. Cool, that looks good. And then, all right, so T's just looking for which attributes are required for the image element. We actually don't need a closing tag on an image either, I believe. We just need the opening. Parker, change H5. So Parker's done. Ricky, looks like you're done, right? I'm still working on changing this to a paragraph. No, I'm just playing. Angel, add skills. Are you done with this one, Angel?
I think I'm gonna change the class names to match volunteer card format.
Okay, cool. While we're waiting, while Angel is finishing up right there, does anyone know which 2 attributes are required for an image element? Parker, Ricky, Angel, or someone else who's just in here who has...
Would that be an SRC and then an alt?
Yes, exactly.
Or
So on
AL?
yes, ALT. So on top of the class attribute, you also need a source attribute and a alt attribute. And so yeah, so you could go ahead and just create the attributes. You don't worry about what you're going to be putting in their values yet. Well, we still need the class. So keep the class. Yeah. But also add, you could add them like down here or something. So add the source. You could do like just source equals empty string and then do alt equals empty string. There you go. So now that you have the attributes on the image, you just need to inject some values into them. And so do you remember at the beginning of this session when we changed the image object, we created a location, a URL, and a description?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I remember.
On the top of the page, so you can see each one of us have an image object with a URL and a description.
Yeah.
And so you need to inject those values into these attributes. So the URL is going to be injected into the source and the description is going to be injected into the alt. So do you remember how to inject JavaScript into our HTML templates? It's done all over the place. So you could see it here. You could see it here. You can see it here.
Yeah, but aren't those literals?
Yep. So you're going to be injecting it right into the literal as well. So. Yep.
So it'd be vol dot image.
So go ahead and just create the syntax required to inject. Don't worry about what you're actually injecting yet. So like it's a $, open curly brace, and a close curly brace. So just put that there and that there. Don't even worry about what you're injecting yet.
Repeat that one more time. So the $sign and curly brackets are for what again?
The $sign and curly brace is going to allow you to inject JavaScript into template literals. So this right here is a template literal. You have, so basically you have strings with double quotes, right? You could write a string with double quotes. If you're looking on line 257, I'm just giving a small example down here. So we have strings with double quotes. We also have strings with single quotes. With these, if I tried to inject, like let's say I created a variable called var equals 5, for example. If I tried to inject that JavaScript into a regular string, it just wouldn't work. You see how it's still a string? It's still like brownish orange or whatever. It doesn't work. But if I use template literals, so the symbol on the left of the 1, this is also strings, but this allows me to inject JavaScript into it. So if I have this variable here and I want to put this 5 into this string, I could use the $sign and the curly braces and then just put var in between right there. So now when this program renders, it's gonna, this string right here is gonna say strings 5.
Automatically.
Yeah, automatically, because what this var variable is containing is a 5. So this is going to render to the actual value that's stored in the var. So where you see up here on the H4, you can see we have our backtick. So this whole thing is a template literal. So all of these $signs and curly braces, we're able to inject JavaScript in. Now this H4, the volunteer card name, with the volunteer name, if you go all the way to the top, you could see we have data, volunteer list data. So on line 4, the name is suicide hotline. So if we iterate over this volunteer list, this is our first object. This is one volunteer or one vol. So if we do vol.name, it'll target this right here. So when we come back down to the code that we're building right now, vol.name is going to target that property. And for each one of the volunteer opportunities that exist, it's going to inject the custom data that's on that object into this template. So this template will be different depending on which volunteer opportunity was rendered. So for each one of the volunteer opportunities, if you go back up to the top and you can see in our volunteer list, we have one volunteer opportunity from line 2 to 25, another volunteer opportunity from line 26 to 49, another one from line 50 to 73. So we have 6 of them for now. And for each one of them, we're going to render cards. So we're going to render 6 cards, all of them with different information. And then if you go ahead or up a little bit to line 208, you can see that we take our volunteer list, we map over that volunteer list, and for each one of our volunteer opportunities, we render a card. And that's the function we're building right now. So we're actually injecting this list of cards into this template string. So that was a lot. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hey, image. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi. I said, hey, image. I meant, hi, Jim.
Hey.
Can you check my card?
Just call me Image.
I think I should.
He's just playing. Vol.image.url, vol.image.description. So image URL, image description. That is looking correct. The only problem is these are standalone. You aren't you aren't adding them to the value of source. So I'll go ahead and take this one, and I'm gonna put it in the source. You take the other one and put it in the alt.
Just real quick, do we still want to add class equals voluntary card underscore image?
Yes, because that class is gonna be used to actually style the card.
So how can why can
this image is what we use to actually create the image.
Okay.
Like this image element gives us the functionality required to pull an image from a source, to give an image some extra information. So this entire image element is what we use to place an image inside of an HTML document. Class is what we're using to style this image. So class is only there to style. Source is there to tell us which image we're using, whether it's in the file system of the project. Like we might have a folder in our project that says images. We might just pull our images from there. In our case, we're actually pulling the images from the web. Both work. So you could place, so the source is just like, where is your image located? You're not pulling an image from nowhere. You have to pull it from somewhere. And then alt is just basically what renders if the image fails to load. So if the image fails to load, and for screen readers, it's just like some extra information about the image.
Yeah, I understand. But I just was wondering, no need for an ID at this point.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't add the ID unless you plan to add some JavaScript or use JavaScript to manipulate or modify this element. Yeah. Oh, you highlighted the whole image. Here, I'll go back for you. There you go. We just need this. And then we'll go ahead and test it out.
Yeah, I was trying to just highlight the template literal, the one that is highlighted by you, and for some reason it copied and pasted the whole thing. I don't think I can do it on my, or can you highlight?
Yeah, I could go ahead and do it.
Okay. Oh, where'd it go?
Hold on. Hold on. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I wanted. For some reason, I don't know why I couldn't do that on my computer. It copied the whole thing. I don't know what happened.
All right, so we are good to go. Let's try this out and see what we get. Ah, Larry's got the video. What's up, Larry? I see you. Nice planes in the background. You actually fly those things? That's cool, man. That's awesome. No microphone? Gotcha. Yeah, you're good. That's awesome. Cool. I'm looking at cameras right now. I got my eye on one, so I'm going to be sharing my vid soon, too. All right, let's try this out. So if we go here, and then... So we got...
No way. We did that?
We got the
Get
images.
out of here.
Nice.
No way.
Nice. There is,
Why is it
a bug. So what is the problem here? What do we got here? So it looks like in the description, class volunteer card description. Let's see. So we got our, let me go ahead and just take that arrow out. That should solve it. There we go. Skills you'll gain. All right, so now we just need to add the styles that we created in our Figma file. We'll do that tomorrow. And yeah. And then this is going to start looking even better. This looks... Remember what it looked like on like day 7, like a week in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great progress. That's all that matters. We're making progress every day and every week.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's funny. I was looking like nobody really understands what something looks like in the beginning, but if you look at like first HTML page, Tim Berners-Lee. He's the one that created it. It is
I wonder if it's still active today.
It is. Let's see. I think
info.cern.ch.
Here it is. Yeah, this is it. This is the first website ever right here. Browse the first web. Yeah, right here. World Wide Web.
All right. Is there a date on somewhere? Like if we inspect it, do you think that we'll find a date like 1997 or 1996? Like something.
1800s.
Yeah, it's in stone. They carved it.
I don't see.
It's got to be something because this is what for the university, or something like that.
It was CERN. It was out of CERN. It's like a huge scientific.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just links and text. You know, that's what it was. Just links and text. That's what it was. But I saw this video the other day about this guy who was creating a video game, and the video game in the beginning it was like, oh my goodness, I would never play this thing, and then he's like, people make fun of it when it's early because you rarely ever see something when it's first starting off. And then he's like, but eventually it becomes this. And he showed the video game like a few months into development. I was like, whoa, that's way better, man. I'm going to find the video and I'm going to share it with everybody because it's funny. Nobody sees it in the beginning, but then a few months later, people see it and they don't know that you had to go through this tackiness and this plain just... You know, like our navigation right now, we're just like, we're not even focused on the navigation. We're simply focused on building out this feature right now. You know, it's the volunteer search feature. We're only working on things that have to do with the volunteer search. And so this is the only thing that's going to get done. The footer is still going to look like junk. But yeah, one day at a time. One day at a time. You could actually click on these things. So the functionality is there. Tomorrow, these cards are going to look way better. So tomorrow, these cards are going to look like this. The cards are actually going to look like a real website, you know. Here, there's still like a little like, they look good, but they need work, you know. But yeah, tomorrow they'll look really nice. This will be really nice. Good job, everyone.
We can't pat ourselves on the back yet.
I know, right? Is there like a pat yourself on the back emoji?
There should be.
Cool. Good job, everyone who typed the code too. This is nice. This is nice to see. Let's just make sure that everything is good. So we have our volunteer card. Ricky worked on this one right here. So you iterated over that. That is... All right. So you have your list items, mental health and crisis hotline. Yeah, so that looks right. There are definitely other options. Like we don't necessarily need a list, though semantically it makes the most sense. And then get skills. I like how Ricky actually created a function for this. It just keeps this super clean, you know? So we have our render card. And this is just clean. And you know exactly what it's doing, too. You're getting the skills. And then you could see the get skills function right here. You know? So that's nice. Good job, Ricky. I mean, Angel did this one, right?
Yeah, that was me. Thanks.
Yeah, good job, man. Skills you're getting. Cool. And it looks good. You got the comma with the space in between. Nice. Yeah, looking good, looking good. So tomorrow we'll perfect these cards. You know what's going to be a nice day, though? The day I'm looking forward to is when we merge this volunteer search branch into the main branch. And all the way,
Make it live.
and it becomes an official part of the site. So, speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and run git branch -a. So you could see I am on the card design branch. And we're not going to make a pull request into the volunteer search branch tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and commit the changes So, does anyone know which command I need to run? I want to stage the changes before making the commit. What do I run?
Git add dot, which will add all the changed files.
Yes. So let me go ahead and do a git status. So you can see we modified styles.css and we modified main.js. Who modified styles.css?
I did, but it's not necessary.
Who's that, Angel?
I was trying to add the bold to the beginning part, to the span.
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And the one under it too.
Okay, cool. Just checking. And then, yeah, and then we modified a lot of the JavaScript tonight too. So yes, git add dot. Now, if the changes made to the styles.css had nothing to do with the card design, then I wouldn't add this. Does anyone know what I would do if I just wanted to add the main.js file and not the styles.css instead of doing dot to add all the files?
Git add main.js, just the name the name of the file you wanna add.
Just like that. Git add main.js. So let's say I do this and then I look at the status. You can see that the main.js was staged for commit, so I could go ahead and commit just this, but I do want to commit this as well, so we'll go ahead and we'll do git add styles.css as well. Now if I do git status, you can see that both are staged for changes. All right, how do I commit these changes?
You can do git commit -m, which means message, and then in quotes you do the message you want to leave. So you can do finished cards or updated cards.
Finished. Yeah, updated. So let's be even more specific. So let's say insert volunteer info into render card function. All right, check our status. Everything is good. Oops. Everything is good to go. Nothing to commit. I'll go ahead and do a push. Oh, it looks like I created a branch before we got started. And this branch doesn't exist on our remote project. So it doesn't exist in GitHub. Does anyone know what I do?
You copy the suggestion from the terminal.
Perfect. You were looking at that. So we'll do git push u origin card design. Boom. So we just pushed the GitHub. Now if we come back up here, you can see card design had recent changes less than a minute ago. So we can go to card design and all of our changes should be right in here. And yes, we have our image object. So I know the other changes are in here too. Render card. Cool. Yep, all the changes you all made. Awesome. Good job, everyone.
Nice. And as a bonus, I found the date when CERN got created. If anyone wants to take a guess.
Go ahead. Who wants to take a guess?
I want to say 1982.
82?
Close. It was the year I was born.
I say 85.
It was November 17th, 1992, for the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN.
92. Wow. So 30 years ago.
No way. I thought it was like a lot.
Yeah, 'cause I did a Who's lookup, so it's crazy.
T thought it was during the Civil War.
The Civil War? What?
I can't believe that was 30 years ago, 92.
Yeah, once the internet came around, technology hit warp speed.
Yeah, and that's in Geneva, Switzerland, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, look at the kind of stuff they're working on now. We won't go into that, but go ahead and just visit the CERN website and check out some of the stuff they're working on now. It's incredible. All right, cool. So we have about 45 more minutes. We're going to jump into... actually, what we were going to do was... I'll let you guys pick. So there's a couple different things we could do. One of them is last week, before the weekend, we created this right here. So we rendered the volunteer details card. And basically what we did was we are tracking. We're looking for an event that happens on our cards. So when you click on this card or any object or any element inside of the card, the event is going to bubble up to the div containing all of the elements. That div is going to catch the event, and we're going to use the div, the data set, the ID specifically. So if you come up and you look at the cards we just worked on, we have a data ID attribute called vol ID. So we're taking the ID off of our volunteer opportunities. And so what we did was we used this event to target this ID. We stored the ID, and then we found the exact volunteer opportunity from our volunteer opportunity array that has an ID that matches the ID of the card we clicked. And then we have that object stored in vol. And so what is next here is we're going to use this vol object to basically do what we just did and inject the JavaScript into our page. So if you look at like the suicide hotline, if you click on this, we render our volunteer details page with all right now, all this is static. So whether I click on the volunteer, the suicide hotline, or this one, it's all mentoring, life coaching, veteran care. If I click on this one, it's the same thing, mentoring, life coaching, veteran care, and that's because everything is static right now. We actually want to inject the JavaScript from each volunteer opportunity into each one, so when we click on it, it represents the data stored inside of that specific volunteer card that we clicked. So that's one thing. And that's an option, but we kind of just did something like that, so we could switch it up a little bit if everyone wants to. Another option is I have a project that I want everyone to take a look at. I don't know where I have it stored, so I'll have to find it really quickly. But basically what we're doing next is, if you look at this file, it's getting long. We're at 340 lines of code. And it was starting to get a little stressful when we were at like over 100 lines of code. You know, 100, 200 lines of code in one file, you're starting to get pretty big. And you see me like jumping around a lot. You know, I'm like, all right, line 114, or, you know, we're all over the place. And so what we need to do is we need to start adding some structure and organization to this project. And that's going to make everything as far as this project goes so much easier to manage. And so what we're going to implement to the project is an architecture called MVC, Model View Controller. So what I want is I want to show everybody a project that already has Model View Controller in it. It's a very, very simple project. And I want to hear everybody's feedback and just thoughts on how we could take the organization and structure from that project and begin to implement very similar structure into this project. And so what do you guys think? How about we do this? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a poll. So we have, so finish from last week, just injecting the JavaScript into the template literal, which is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, or explore MVC. And I'm going to go ahead and give a reaction. So go ahead, and I just posted in the chat. If you look, there's a green check mark on both of them. Feel free to click the one that you want to do. And if you're looking for the chat, we're all sitting in the Introduction to JavaScript channel right now. And if you hover over Introduction to JavaScript, you're going to see 3 icons pop up on the right. We have Open Chat, Create Invite, and Edit Channel. Just click on Open Chat. And all right, cool. So everyone wants to explore MVC, basically. Awesome. Cool. Not even one person. Nobody wants to click it now because I'm going to ask who it was. Put you on the spot. Oh, that was Parker. Wasn't it?
Wasn't me.
That's funny. Cool, cool. All right, let me find out where this project is. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close up this project right here because we're done working on it for the night. Basically, it's going to be mostly discussion. As we explore this other project, I want everybody asking me tons of questions. So like ask me as many questions as you want as you explore this other project and read through the code and try to understand exactly what's happening here. And then I'll do my best to explain everything to you. And then we'll open up both. So I'll open up this code on the right and I'll open up the other code on the left and we'll just start jotting down some to-dos that we can start working on. So one of them is pretty obvious because if you look just on the right side, you can see basically from the top of the file to halfway through the file is just our data alone. And so that's kind of an obvious, like, let's put this dummy data somewhere else. That's gonna do the most to actually shrink this a little bit. And then another thing that's gonna kind of just give you guys a little bit of direction is you can see last week we added these comments. So anything that has to do with home is right here. Anything that has to do with the volunteer list page is under here. Anything that has to do with the volunteer details page is here. But then even within this here, you're gonna have model view and controller behavior. And then we have core stuff here, which I put core because I didn't want to make it obvious, but this is gonna go somewhere as well. So let me go ahead and pull up this project. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay, I think this is it. Yes. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite everybody into here, and I'll let everybody just explore the files that we have here. And feel free to unmute, ask questions, and this is going to be mostly discussion. We're not going to really get started on doing anything tonight, just because we have about 40 minutes left. So we'll go ahead and just discuss and question, understand the architecture style, and then we'll begin implementing it this week. So I just posted the link in the chat. Feel free to hop in. I'll just keep this one up for now. So my advice would be start from the HTML file. You can see that the JavaScript that we're injecting into the HTML is stored in the JavaScript directory inside of the main.js. So I would say start with the main.js and explore from there. You'll also see that we have a div that contains the class notes and the ID app. So we're basically injecting all of our JavaScript into this right here. And I haven't looked at this in a while, so hopefully you guys are asking some good questions and you can stump me. That'd be cool. And then let me actually go ahead and do live server to make sure everything's still working properly. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right. It looks like all the functionality is still there. So, and everybody can navigate to the different files, right? Like you don't need me to navigate to the, okay, cool. All right, so ask away. Or comment away. You don't necessarily have to just ask questions. You could just make observations as well. And if you want me to, I have the project open on my live server on the left side of my screen, so I'll keep that open. If you want me to like click anything or play around with anything, feel free to just let me know. I could also inspect it, look at the elements, all that sort of thing. What I'm also going to do right now is I'm going to go to live server. So what I'm going to do is in the live share, I'm going to click on live server. And live server port 5500. So I believe if you come look at my screen really quickly, we have our file explorer here on the top, and then I have outline, timeline, and then live share, so you can see all the participants. I believe if you sign in with Visual Studio Code, if you do through the browser, I don't think it works, but if you go through Visual Studio Code, I'm pretty sure there's a shared servers down here. And I just shared my server. So you could go ahead and click live server, and then you'll actually be able to open it up in your browser, so you don't have to tell me like, hey, click this, do that. You'll actually be able to do it on your own. So you can see when I click live server, it actually opens up the application.
I'm trying to do that right now. Open the shared live server so I can see it on my browser.
Is it working? Sometimes it works, but sometimes I get comments like it's not working. And I think it's because people are using live share through the browser and not actually in Visual Studio Code.
It might just be me.
Yeah, it's possible that certain less popular operating systems or less popular browsers or outdated browsers, like it could be a bunch of things, honestly. But the live share was created by Microsoft, so you'd think it would cover all that stuff. What was that, Ricky?
That the live share worked for me last week, but
okay.
Not today.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder what it is.
I can see my live share. It's just I'm not able to do what the notes stuff that you're talking about.
Okay. And you see...
Now it works.
Did you do anything differently?
No, I just closed it and reopened it.
Yeah, mine works now too, but I did something different.
Okay.
I had to trust the workspace. After I trusted the workspace, then I reopened it and it opens fine now.
You trusted the workspace?
Yeah, so when you open a live share link, it will say like this is a restricted workspace. Do you want to trust it or not? And so once I finally hit yes, then now it opened up the shared live server.
Maybe it's like some sort of permission based.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because like when you trust a workspace, then it allows you to open up your current extensions and your settings, this and that, so you can have a little more functionality with your VS Code.
Yep. That makes sense. Cool. So what do you all notice? What's like the first thing that stands out? What's the difference between the project that we have going on right now, the nonprofit navigator, and the project here?
Short and clean.
This one's short and clean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by short and clean?
Just the coding, I guess, looks really short and sweet, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's doing. I'm not sure if it's doing. Other project is doing more in this one, but it looks a lot neater.
Okay. So more readable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I mean, so the index.html aspect part of it looks pretty similar,
Mm-hmm.
or very succinct, I suppose is the right word for that. I don't remember seeing us creating that many divs yet. Could be wrong though. Not sure if it matters yet.
Okay. Yeah, we do have our HTML spread out a lot. So one thing that's different about this one and the other one is ours definitely has more views so far. And a view is just basically like a block of HTML, we could call it for now, just to keep it simple. So what about the files? The files, what do you notice about the files? Like
Well, there's definitely not a API or a view.
Mm-hmm. In ours, you're saying?
Yeah, in ours, yeah.
Yeah, not a organized view, not like a separate view. Ours is kind of just like views.
You just have one .js file.
Yeah. There you go. That's exactly what I was looking for.
It's probably a problem. That's probably something we have to take into consideration. Creating multiple .js files.
Yes.
Separating things containing creating more breadth.
Yes. Exactly. More space.
Breathing room.
Yes. Not putting everything
we
all
lay
over.
out our yoga pad. Never mind. Let me shut up.
Nah, you're making sense. Yeah. Get some space. Get some breathing room. Does anyone have anything else to say? I'm going to continue asking questions, and feel free to go ahead and just comment or make observations. Why do you guys think that we're only injecting one JavaScript file into our HTML if we have 4 JavaScript files here? And how are all of our JavaScript files getting into our HTML? Because our HTML is aware of all of our JavaScript files, even though we're only injecting main. How? How is that even possible?
I guess the question is, where is that even possible, right?
True.
What lines are we?
True. If we're not including app.js, notes API.js, and notes view.js in our HTML, where are we including them?
In the main JS.
So if we go to main.js, what are we including here?
Well, I see app.js, but what about notes and notes view?
Okay. So it looks like we're only importing our app.js into our main.
Oh, I just opened up the app.js, and if I see that, then I see Notes View and Notes API. So kind of like it links to here, and then that links to there, and it all comes back.
Yes, yes, exactly. So what does that tell us about app.js?
Is that like the main file we're working off of? That's like the most big chunk, the meat of the pie.
Yeah, you're trying to explain it in the right way. I know you are. You got the gist. I could tell already. Let me ask this. How does Notes API... So let me just give a little bit of information here before even going into it. So we have our index.html. We're injecting our main.js into our HTML. So if we look at our main.js, the only thing we're doing in main.js is we're importing our app.js. Then we are targeting an element in our HTML. So we're targeting, if you look at our index.html, we're targeting this div that has an ID of app. And then what we're doing is we are taking the functionality from our app.js and we're passing that HTML element inside of it. So like, I have two questions. One of them, and you could explore either one of these. I don't expect you to explore both at the same time, but for those who want to explore this question, explore this one. What is passing this root element into our app doing? Follow this route. So I want a few people to follow this route. So like go to app.js, look at the constructor. You can see in the constructor, we're passing in the root. If you don't know what a constructor is, feel free to do a Google search. If there's anything you don't understand here where you're like, what is a constructor? Like you could copy this code and put it in ChatGPT and say like, what is this doing? Why is it inside of a class? Ask any types of questions, and anything you learn, I want you to share this information, because if you learn and share the information, it's going to stick better. That's why I ask you guys a lot of questions and why I encourage everybody to go and do searches and then come back and explain it. Because if you do the search, that's a skill. That's actually an important skill, research. And then if you articulate it, being able to articulate complex concepts in a simple way that people understand, especially new people, because this group is filled with a lot of new people as well, is another skill. So research and articulating complex concepts simply are both very, very important skills, just as important as coding. So I want everybody to understand that. If there's any code in here that you don't understand, just copy and paste it. Just look like, what is a constructor in JavaScript? What is a class in JavaScript? And if it's something that you don't know and you do a Google search on it and you're like, oh, okay, class, okay. That's what this is doing. Come back and explain it, because you explaining it is going to make you better. So that's my first question, is follow the route and try to figure out what passing this HTML element into our app is doing. And then I have another question. How is Notes API communicating with Notes View? Do Notes API and Notes View communicate with each other? And if so, how do they communicate with each other? So don't answer both questions. Just choose one of them and explore. And just to give you like just some explicit comments, our app is our controller. Our Notes API is our model, and our Notes View is our view. So we have our model, Notes API, we have our controller in app.js, and we have our Notes View, our view, and Notes View. So model, view, controller. What are we doing with root? Because I see a couple people exploring this app class. What are we doing with root when we first pass it into the constructor? That's good. I see a lot of people clicking all over the place. That's what I like to see.
Are we just declaring a variable? Is that what new is? New notes view?
So we are inside of a class. So if we're inside of a class, I would call them properties. So we are declaring
Oh.
a notes field that's initialized as an array. We're creating an active note field that's initialized as null to begin with until we run this function. And we're creating a view, and we're actually creating an instance of note view and storing it in this view so we could access view. So I'm guessing whoever's exploring what's happening with root, like what's happening with this HTML element that we're passing into the app on line 4 in the main, you can see that when we pass it into the app in our constructor, we're taking that root and we're just passing it into nodes view. So it's like we're passing it down a chain and then we're handing it to nodes view. And then in notes view, we're actually just creating a field, a property inside of notes view with this dot root. So we'll have reference to this root inside of our view.
It seems like there's some sort of hand holding going on.
Hand holding?
Like,
you mean I'm giving too much information?
No.
You're like, let us explore, Jim.
Yeah. No. Here, let me rethink my thought real quick. 1 second.
Nah, you're good. I'm totally just playing.
Like, it seems easy to not easy, because I'm not going to say that, but there seems to be a lot of connections going on here and there, but it's just a matter of understanding how those connections work with one another. That's what matters the most. And then I feel like it will make it way more easier to code when, like, to code up a thing. I feel like that's why you're showing this example to us to compare to what we're working on right now. So I'm trying to think like how I can, Google this all night long, but I guess at the end of the day, I kind of want to ask the question of like, is this like another language that we have to, not like a sending language, but I guess like, is this something else that we have to, that is important for us to sort of like know before we continue with JavaScript? It's like, once we know how to cut down a tree, now it's time for us to know like, okay, well, you don't want to cut it sloppy,
Yeah. So basically, that's a really good question. Like, do you need to learn this to continue with JavaScript? No. You could build a JavaScript app with the same functionality in one file. You can do that. Especially if you're the only one working on the project and you just like really know it, and that's possible. But the larger the application gets, the more you're going to need something like this. So what this is doing is basically what React does, what Angular does, what Vue does. It provides organization and architecture for an application to make scaling the application, maintaining the application much, much easier. And so, yeah, that's a really good question. Do you need to learn this? No, you don't have to. Is learning this going to make everything so much easier? Yes. Is learning this going to make transitioning to a React or Angular much easier? Yes, 100%. And so let me go ahead and just explain. We have our app.js. Our app.js is our controller. This is all of the business logic. And so you can see that this application that we have is a notes application. So that means anything that has to do with notes is going to be inside of this controller. So you can see we have a method called refresh notes. What this refresh notes method is going to do is it's going to get all of our notes from our storage. It's going to pass our notes into our set notes method, which is right here. So we won't focus on that now. And then it's going to check if the notes array that we got out of our storage has at least one note stored in it. That's what this is checking. Do we have at least one note? Is the length of our notes array greater than 0? Then we're going to set an active note. And so refresh notes, set active note, and then all of these functions related to notes. So when you select a note, when you add a note, when you edit a note, when you delete a note, this is all the business logic is stored inside of this controller. So business logic, anything that has to do with basically like the domain of your application, what the application is actually about, is going to go here. Now, if I asked a question, I said, how does the Notes API and the Notes view communicate with each other? And they don't. They don't ever communicate with each other directly. The controller communicates for them. If the Notes API needs to say anything to the Notes view, basically the Notes API is our model. So the Notes API is responsible for basically getting and setting data. So whether we're using local storage, just built-in storage methods into the browser, or we're using a database, our model is going to be responsible for that. So you can see get all notes. It's getting our notes from local storage. It's getting all of our notes. Save notes, it's actually placing a note in our local storage. Delete note, it's removing one from local storage. So any interaction with our data store is happening inside a model. Nothing, our notes view is never going to be interacting with our data store. Only our model interacts with our data store. So the sole job of our model is to communicate with our data store. So if you come back to app.js, you can see inside of refresh notes, this is our model. And then this is our controller. So this refresh notes method is built up of functionality from the model and 2 pieces of functionality from the controller. Our set notes is built from a property on our controller. So our application state, method from our view, and another method from our view. Our set active note is made up.
Quick question.
Yes.
Jim, sorry. Could I, if I could, change line 29 through 32? Could I change all those lines to like before? So like what I'm trying to say is, could I flip around? I don't even know how to ask this question, but like instead of underscore set notes, line 23, can I put line 23, that whole, I guess, function, I suppose we should say that, can I change that and move that around anywhere I want?
In this class or into a different file?
Yeah, in the same, like, can I move it around?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this class, when we do like class app, all this stuff that we create, this is all stored before we even start up the application. So like all these methods are already stored in memory before we even start up the application. And then when we go ahead and in our main.js, when we do new app, Now we're creating an instance of this app class. So this class is like a blueprint for what we want inside of our object. That
So,
might be
like-
a little abstract. We could definitely do like a session on the difference between classes and objects. So the class is basically like a blueprint, and the object is a running instance, like a live version of that blueprint. So basically, you know, similar to functions, you know how you have a function definition where you basically write a function definition of like what you want to happen inside of the function, and then you have the function execution, and you actually have to call the function. Very similar with classes and objects. So you have like your definition, your blueprint, and then you have your running instance, the execution of this class. So all these methods, they're all stored in memory before you even create your instance. Once you start up this project, before it even gets to this line of code right here, it's all stored in memory. So regardless of what order you put these in, you're good, because it's in memory before you're calling them.
It's like filing cabinets within filing cabinets.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, sort of. That's a good way to put it. It's starting to make sense to you, I could tell. And then so when we get down to our handlers, so this is like functionality. These are actually like events that we want to keep track of, right? Like we're using events right now, but we don't want to place these handlers inside of our view. And the reason we don't want to place these functions inside of our view is because these functions include functionality from our model. So you could see like on delete. So our on delete method, it calls our model. So it calls the piece of our code that's responsible for communicating with the data store. And since it calls the piece of the code that communicates with our data store, we have to create it inside of our controller, because our controller is responsible for communicating with our model, not our view. But we pass this into our view. If you look up here, this is all going to start making sense. It might seem really hard right now, but it's all going to start making sense. So you can see that I pass all the handlers into our view. So when we create a new view, we pass in the root. So this is the root that was passed down all the way from our HTML file to the main to the app. And we use that root to create our view. And we also pass the handlers in, because when we go to our view, you can see that our view needs to use these functions. And so we create them as properties on this view. There's definitely different ways to do this, but we'll just keep it simple for now and just say this is the way to do it. And if you look down here,
Okay, this might sound like a stupid question, but I don't care. Is this back end stuff?
no, this is all front end. Pure front end. Yeah. Yeah. So basically what this is just vanilla JS architecture. It's basically, it's doing what React does for an application. It just gives you structure and organization. It gives you an architecture, a way to organize your code in a way that's easier to build code. What I want to do is, and feel free to ask questions. We have a few more minutes for tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post this code to GitHub, and I'm going to share the link. I just want everyone to access this code, and I want you to kind of work your way through it. So like, if I'm trying to analyze this code and understand this code, one, I'm running the code in the browser. So I have it running and I do that. Then as I go through it, like let's say I'm starting in the main, I'm like import app from app.js. Okay. And I'll even keep like a Word document on the left, and I'm like, all right, I'm currently at main.js line 1. And I'm like, all right, what is app.js? I have no clue what app.js is. And then I work my way down. So I go from top to bottom, trying my best to understand what each line of code is. And I work my way. So I would like do this.notes. Okay, we have a this.notes array. I'm guessing we're storing notes inside of this array. Like I'm literally typing in a Word document as I'm analyzing the code. And if I'm incorrect, that's totally fine. But at least I'm just like writing down my thoughts and trying to reason about this and make sense of everything. Then I'm like, okay, we initialize an active note as null, and then we're creating a notes view. So I know I'm gonna dive deeper into this, but I'm not diving deeper yet. So, and then I'll go to refresh notes, and I go through this one piece at a time, kind of just guessing what each one does for now, because I want to work my way from the top of this file down to the bottom of this file. And then I come back over to main. I go to line 3. Like, what exactly is this? This makes sense for anyone who uses even basic JavaScript. And then I'm like, okay, we're passing the root into the app. And I kind of understand like main.js, you know, like I fully understand main.js now. It's just 3 lines of code. I'm importing the app. I'm targeting an HTML element. Then I'm taking that HTML element and I'm passing it into app. So it's like, okay, I could explain that. I could explain what every single line of code is doing there. Then I go to app in the same way that I just started from line 1 and dive deeper. Then I'm like, okay, we're importing notes view. What is notes view? And I go here and I kind of just work my way from top to bottom, not doing any real further explanation, just working my way top to bottom, trying to like guess what each thing is. And then when I get all the way to the bottom, just like kind of guessing what it is, I go back to app. Now I'm like, all right, and now we have notes API, still just kind of guessing. But when I get back here, I'm like, okay, now I have a really good understanding of notes view, and now I have a better understanding of notes API. I just work my way down. And then when I get to notes view, then I dive deeper into notes view. So I'll actually, at this point, I would dive deeper into notes view. I'm like, what's actually happening here when I create a new notes view? You can see we have a huge constructor. All this code is running when I create a new instance of notes view. So when I run this one line of code right here, and I pass in that HTML element, and I pass in these methods, I'm running all this code from line 2 to line 39. So I'm storing the root. I would only store the root if I needed to access it later. I'm storing these methods. I would only store these methods if I need to access them later. If I didn't need them later, I wouldn't need to add them as fields on this class. And then I have my template. You all know what a template is. What is this template? What is it doing? What is it displaying? Where is it displaying what? So you can see, obviously, we have this div right here, the one on the left, and we have this div right here, the one on the right. And then you can see we're adding some of, we're targeting a couple elements. The reason why we're targeting elements in our constructor is because we actually, let's see, we have, so we're setting the inner HTML of our root to this code right here. And once this exists on our document, once it exists on our HTML and it's here in the browser, then we could target these elements. If this wasn't stored in our inner HTML, if the browser didn't know that this code existed yet, then we wouldn't be able to add these. We wouldn't be able to be like, hey, notes add. That's this button right here. Okay, so I'm targeting this button. So I'm just working my way down and just trying to figure out every single line of code, one piece at a time. And this is another skill. So like I talk about research, I talk about articulating complex concepts in very simple ways. Reading code is a super important skill. Well, actually, a lot of my friends who work at big companies, they'll spend 90% of their time reading code and figuring out how code is connected and how the changes that they're going to make is going to affect the rest of the code base. And they spend sometimes days just researching and reading code. And then the change they make is a fast change. Like it takes them an hour or two. And they spent so much time just reading and analyzing code and understanding code. So like that might be your job when you get a job. Maybe you'll work for a startup and you'll be building a bunch of fresh code, but maybe you'll work for a big organization where you're just reading tons of code and making very small changes, you know? So it's a very important skill to have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post this code to GitHub. I'm going to share the link with everybody here. And I'll give everybody just a few days to kind of like go through this code. And I would recommend that you do it the way I do it. Just have your Word document and try to just jot down what every line of code is doing. Try to understand every line of code. And the lines of code that you don't understand after doing that, just discuss it with the group. And we'll try to make sure that everybody understands this. Once you understand this, converting the application that we have. So going back to our project and just looking at this, it's going to be so much easier. Like you could see, just looking at our project, this template, let me ask this. Where does this HTML go? Model viewer controller.
View.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's HTML. It's part of our view. How about all of this data here? Where are we going to be getting this data from?
API?
API, our model. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I want everybody just to take a couple days to actually like read this code, do their best to understand it. We'll have another session where we kind of review this code all together again, the same way we did tonight, after everybody's had a chance to understand it, run it on their own computers, and then we'll start converting our project into model view controller. Now
How about handlers? Sorry. Oh, yeah, we're out of time.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, what about handlers? Handlers.
Yeah, so you could see, it depends on the method that you use for MVC. I'm working on another project right now for MVC, and I'm doing the handlers a different way. So it depends, but in this notes project, you can see that our handlers, we're just creating inside of our controller because they have model functionality inside of them. And then I just pass them to the view that's using them. So I'll take these handlers and I'd pass them to the view that's going to be using them. And then let's just say we're in our notes view, and you can see that our notes view has now a property called onNoteSelect, onNoteAdd, onNoteEdit, onNoteDelete. And then you go further down and you're like, all right, let's see where we're using this here. So this dot onNoteDelete. So update notes list. So you can see that when I'm updating the notes list, I am targeting the notes list. So if you come back up here, you can see we have our notes list div, right? I'm targeting that. I'm setting the inner HTML. So whatever list existed before I'm updating the list now, I'm deleting it. I'm turning it into an empty string. Then for each note that exists, I'm going to go ahead and render some HTML and insert that HTML. And then for each one of those list items that I just added, since they now exist in the HTML, I could add event listeners onto them. And so on the list item, on click, I'm selecting a note, so on note select. So I'm adding this event handler to this note list item. I'm also adding another event listener for a double click, and this is delete. So we're basically passing in our event handlers from our controller to the view that's going to be using that functionality, and then we're adding it to the element at the correct time, if that makes sense. So if you come over to our project and you can see, if I had another note, so if I click on this note right here, this is executing on note select. If I click on this one, on note select just happened. And if I double click, so you can see I added this event handler, note list item, dot add event listener, double click, and then I'm adding the on note delete. So I double click, you can see I get this confirm, are you sure you want to delete? If I click OK, then we actually execute this delete method, which does this. So we'll actually call the notes API, call the delete note function with the note ID. If you look at our notes view, we're passing in our note list item, data set, note ID. So you realize that there's some similarities between this and what we did to figure out which volunteer list item we clicked. We passed in the ID, right? And then we use that ID to perform some, in our application, we're actually doing some rendering. In this application, we're using the ID to delete the correct note. So, is that what you were asking, T? You were just saying, what about handling?
No, that was good. I'm so fascinated just how like you're able to inject all that stuff that we're working on into what we have going on with what you're sharing now. It makes it's very interesting.
Yes, I agree. At first, it's just gonna seem like, I remember the first time I started digging into this stuff, I was like, what the heck is going on? I really had to slow way down and analyze the code step by step to understand what was going on. So that's why I encourage everyone else to do it. Soon you're gonna look back at this stuff and you're gonna be like, remember when this was hard to understand? Like, that day is gonna come. You just have to, read through the code, slow down, make sure you understand every line of code. If you understand each line of code individually, then you understand the whole code base. And then you'll start seeing the patterns much more clearly.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jim.
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you know when I post that to GitHub. I'll go ahead and make an announcement. It'll be sometime early tomorrow. I'll make an announcement here and I'll tag all the newbie developer tier people in there. Does anyone have any questions before we hop off?
I have a quick question. It's a yes or no question, I guess.
Yes.
I know very little about classes,
Mhm.
but I've noticed that the app.js file, which is, I understand, is a controller, when the controller imports the other two classes, one is instantiated and the other one is just static. Was it personal choice, or it's recommended to keep the, what is it called?
When our controller...
the
Yeah, so good question. Our notes view is a class. Our notes API is not. Actually, yeah, it is. Let's see. Static, get all notes. Okay. So for our notes view, a lot of the methods that we're running on our notes view are methods that we're running on an instance. So if you can see like create list HTML, we run this on an instance of the class, not on the actual class. Update notes list, we run on an instance. So basically when it comes to classes, you could run your methods on the class object without an instance, so you don't even have to create it, like a running version of the class. Those are called static methods. And
yeah, I get that. So
yeah, so
let's assume and that's not true. Let's assume that we understand how classes and stuff work. The question is it a recommendation or your personal choice not to use one as an instance and one as a static class?
That's a really good question.
And you can tell I'm already planning, because it's such a cool app. Looks like it was made with Vue or React, but it's not. It's vanilla.
Yeah,
maybe I'm gonna reuse as a template for other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is it a recommendation?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, there's different ways you can do it for sure. If you ask 5 different people who are building applications like this, you might get 5 different answers. Typically, when I've built a model, I've built my methods as static methods. Exactly why? That's a really good question. I don't know. I think it's just because that's the way I've seen it done. But I'm actually going to explore that.
Okay.
I'm going to explore that now too, because that's a really good question. I want to know why I do stuff like this. And then, yeah, so I actually needed to create an instance of note view. And I didn't need to create an instance of notes API. Yeah, so I'll explore that a little bit, and if I find a good answer for it, I'll let you know. But typically it's just because with models, I've used static classes, and with views, I've always created instances. But yeah, there are different ways to do it for sure. Like I said, I'm building another one, right? I'm actually building an application that has to do with like self-organizing teams, and it's like an automated boot camp in a way. So that's I'm it's way different. It's different. I'm definitely doing it differently than this application right here. And this actually, I didn't build this application. This is some code I found that I thought would be useful for this class. So, but yeah, good question. I was hoping someone would ask a tough question. Give me something to learn after this session's over. Thank you.
No worries.
Not that everybody else's questions weren't great either. I enjoy all the questions. Cool, cool. All right. Well, then we will sign off. For those who want to join the data structure and algorithm event next, we meet at 9 p.m. And we share solutions. So in the beginning of the day, I post in the problems of the day channel an easy, a medium, and 2 hards. And then we share solutions at the end of the day if you have time to actually solve them. And yeah, you get to see different languages, different algorithms, and it's pretty cool. So feel free to hop into that. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow at 6.
Yeah, solid class tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me? So, the project, the nonprofit navigator.
Yes.
So when I joined in, it was I mean, you guys were already, care. Tell me how can I see when I contribute to the project next time?
Yeah, so initially I was actually adding people to the Nonprofit Navigator GitHub as collaborators, but I don't want to have to do that for everybody who's joining. So I'm actually I'm putting together a YouTube video. I'm going to put together a YouTube video just of how to contribute by forking the project, creating a branch, and I'm going to kind of break it down step by step. So yeah, I'll let you know when I launch that, but it'll be soon. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of building a playlist of videos that kind of help everybody get set up. So that's the next one that's coming.
Okay, thank you. And also just so when I joined in, I must have like sent you a message by accident. I meant to post a message on here, but and I must have probably sent you a friend request. If you might, kind of disregard that. I didn't mean to.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, that's cool, man. Totally fine.
So, you say you're gonna do like a video. You're gonna post a link on here.
Yeah. For now, all of the contributions that have been made, we're all hopping in my code editor and kind of coding along, and then I'm making pull requests just to, give everybody the opportunity to see how this stuff is done. And then this is a very new project too. Like we just started it a few weeks ago, and the people who are attending are the ones who created it. So I'm expecting that sooner than later, the people who are learning faster and just, more comfortable with this sort of thing will eventually, like right now, we're all working on a volunteer list feature to get together as a team. But I think eventually it's going to break out into like, small teams of 3 or 4 or 5 that are doing a feature on their own. And then potentially, once people are really good and experienced, then maybe they'll be working on a feature themselves, So as this grows, I think the direct contributions will increase. But if you feel comfortable working on some issues yourself, I'm definitely open to chatting a little bit about that as well.
Okay. So is there like a final design, or because when I joined in, I realized you guys were still working on the design?
Yeah, we're still working on the design. So I kind of asked people what they wanted to do. And we're gonna spend a lot of time doing lo-fi wireframe and building out the whole design and planning everything, but we wanted to get to actually typing code and people seeing code, reading code, typing code as quickly as we can. So we're kind of jumping back and forth between design and code whenever we have to, you know. Like tonight we spent a little bit of time on the design just because we had to, but immediately we jumped right back to coding because, you know, that's where you're learning. This isn't really a design course, but I think knowing Figma a little bit is nice so you could communicate better with designers and that sort of thing, but we don't want to spend too much time in the design area, you know.
Yeah, I understand. And I was thinking, because if I can see like the final design, probably I will guess to do. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Figma?
No, I'm not a designer, but if you get like a final design, a final markup, I can use a little bit of CSS and HTML to make something happen.
Yeah. Give it a shot, or at least start creating some issues. Yeah, definitely. And I think in like 3 months, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna launch a junior developer, and so that's the back end version of this front end. So I'm kind of like looking for someone to step up and take the lead sooner than later and run this whole front end thing simultaneously while I'm running the back end. So I definitely expect, you know, certain teams to start breaking out, certain leaders to start stepping up. And yeah, as far as there might be people who come on to be developers and they're just like, they're way more interested in the design than they are in developing. I expect that. I already had a couple people who were like, I kind of like the design stuff, you know, and if you do, I think that they should move towards that design area. It's better you start moving towards something you're more interested in now than wait 2 years developing when you're really liking that sort of thing. So yeah, I think eventually someone will step up where, you know, we can start pushing out designs a lot faster, but not rushing it, just taking it one day at a time and trying to build it the right way, you know?
Yeah. All right. Basically, like I joined in today, so I was clicking everywhere because I'm new to this.
Yeah.
So, but this is interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me anytime too.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, have a good night. See you later, Larry.
You too.